아니야, 엄마야.
너 거기 혼자 있는 거 엄마 걱정돼. 무슨 일이라도 생기면 어떡해.
Welcome to Winnipeg.
My daughter is okay?
Your daughter needs time to heal, Mrs. Kim.
남들처럼 남편이라도 있었으면 이런 일은 없었을 거 아니야. 걱정 마. 엄마가 좋은 사람 찾아줄게.
You swipe right for anyone that you like, and swipe left for those you don't like.
Swipe.
It's totally cool to send a sexy photo.
정말 아름다우세요. 여기 제 사진이에요.
Of course, like when you're making a movie about anybody, you have to see yourself in that individual, and
Right.
I mean, so of course, like I leaned into, you know, the one part of my brain that is the immigrant experience. And I realized actually, through that making of that experience, the immigrant experience is very traumatic, like, and it's okay to say it because yes,
Right.
it's like, imagine, for anyone of any great age group, especially a young person coming and having your entire world twisted upside down, you're just trying to swim and survive, and only later on you realize, oh my God, like that was crazy, And so, but because of those traumatic experiences, you survive and you learn and you grow, and that's a very beautiful thing about life. Like life is full of these, moments that allows people to become the person that they are. So, that I learned, through the making of the film because before then I was making films in China, so I was in some way on another side of my brain, which is the reconnecting with my roots part of the culture. So it's very interesting, like when you make a movie, you put yourself at the mercy of that film and you go along with the journey, and you as the artist are the vessel that carries the meaning and also the emotion from the beginning to the end. Yeah, after when I was moving from North America, Chinese industry filmmaking to North America, I I met a lot of people in LA, and different things. And the people I connected with were outsiders, just like myself, So the Chilean company Fabula, which is Pablo's sort of company with his brother Juan de Dios, um, I met them and we just hit it off. We had similar ideas about cinema and the kind of stories that we want the integrity of the story, of the heart of the story. Um, and yeah, and that's how kind of it happened, So I imagine this. I wasn't it wasn't trying to I was trying to make a Canadian film or American film. I was like, oh, I wasn't even trying to make a Chilean film. I just want to make a movie, and the
Right.
Chileans were the people that I connected with and it was wonderful. I learned, I got to work in Chile for 6 months in the post-production, and through that, I really learned about their culture, but also through their culture to relearn, and uh, how do I say this? Appreciate the journey of my own culture. Yeah, of course. Like I'm a Chinese Canadian film director who's 43 making a movie about a Korean culture movie. Like this is like made like there's Korean culture in the film.
Right.
And the main character is a 60-year-old or 58-year-old Korean single mother of, a kid. So
Right.
I had to really like do the work. I think that's really what it comes down to do the work. When I say do the work, I mean with sensitive and like empathy, to really understand what that person and then of course the actress, she brought in all her, craft to it. So I listen to people, I talk to people, I try to do the best I can. I draw upon my own experiences of my own mother, watching her. There's a lot of her as a spirit in that character as well, but also, the original inspiration, which is a Korean woman. So, but I had to just trust. I had to trust my collaborators, Because in the end, I think that there's a whole thing, obviously everything had to happen with the representation, Asian representation and minority representation, which provided a lot of opportunities for people who never got to tell their story. But also, it kind of start to put rules on art, saying only certain people can make certain films about certain things, and that's kind of, I think, going a little bit backwards a little bit, so but of course we were on very, very sensitive ground, like there's another world where I could be canceled if I didn't do this right. Like, first of all, to make a movie these days is a miracle, So when I said this is a Canadian Chilean company, a co-production about a Korean language film set in Winnipeg, Canada, with a Chinese Canadian director, this is all kinds of weird things in it, It doesn't fit any box, and that's why in
Right.
some way it's a lot of but we were able to find a crack in the system and make this film, which is miracle, like all films. All films are miracle
Yeah,
these
I
days.
agree.
The like it seems like the only way you can make a movie these days if you have Emma Thompson or sorry, Emma Stone, like one of those
Right.
faces. Yeah, but even those, there's really only like two people in, like two or three people that actually bring back box office. So
Yeah.
that's a very narrow-minded view of like how to make movies, so you kind of have to figure out a way, and that's why all these companies come sort of had to find, different ways of making this film. So that's like piecing together the puzzle. Now, trying to sell the film and putting the film out, there's a difficulty of that too, right? Like, obviously we trusted that the story is beautiful. We all think that the audience want to see it. However, there's a system in place right now that doesn't fit, and this system is very powerful right now because, there's so many things, so many news every single day. You put out like a review of the film, it disappears in 4 minutes and nobody will ever hear about it ever again, and so we're in a deep sea that we don't see the shores around. But that is the
Right.
world that we're in, it's all good. So when we talk like this, I am doing my work to talk about the film. You're doing your
Right.
work. We grow, we trust, we put it out there, and
Right.
don't expect anything in return. You know what I mean? Because otherwise,
Yeah.
you'll be looking at the clicks, and I mean, well, that's so boring.
Why my daughter wanna live here? 진짜 여기 아주 깝깝한 동네야.
저기 혹시요 국수 좋아하세요?
다음번엔 제 것도 한번 맛보세요. 저
한국말로 대화해보는 게 너무 오래간만이에요.
아드님하고는 한국말로 대화 안 하세요?
English is.
우리가 정말로 괜찮은 부모일까요? 수미야, 엄마야. 벌써 설이야. 가족들이 다 같이 모이는 날. 엄마는 이맘때면 늘 네 걱정을 많이 했었어. 이건 알아줘. 엄마는 언제나 네 엄마고, 수미 넌 언제나 내 소중한 딸이야.
A mother's love is a very powerful thing.